In episode 1 of the Amazing Digital Circus, we got 25 minutes long of content, but this was nowhere near enough to fill the plot holes, so that is where the content farm channels come in. There are so many channels created every day which are literally pushing out 2 to 3 videos a day about the Amazing Digital Circus's characters, creating a whole entire plot for their own animations, or just even introducing new characters such as Jax as a girl, Pomni's brother, or even Ragatha and Jax's kid, only so that they can have content to put out as frequently as possible and make as much money as possible. And these channels are either making AI generated videos with zero original thoughts behind their videos, but they have like flashy clickbait thumbnails and titles which draw in viewers, more specifically kid viewers, or there are channels pushing out these completely twisted 2D and 3D animations about the characters in different settings. And the thing is, it's getting so out of hand that Gooseworks and Glitch had to address it in the trailer for season 1 of the series, where Kane dragged Pomni out of her bed and says, "Your little crying face left quite a little crying mark on the internet, something that I don't canonically have any knowledge of." And then he shows her a blurred picture of the content farm channels with probably all NSFW thumbnails that they're using to get as many clicks as possible. Kane also said that this is the consequence of their actions, and also that it's only gonna get worse since we are getting 8 brand new characters which we saw in the trailer, and so the showrunners and creators are already prepared for what's to come with the NSFW content and content farm. And the fact that they had to include it in the trailer is actually insane. Gooseworks herself already said that she can't really do anything about these content farm channels, and so the fact that they made Kane address the problem is actually quite a powerful move in this situation, intending to reach out to those who are watching those channels directly. As we know, there would be no use to copyright strike these content farm channels since the Amazing Digital Circus isn't on Gooseworks' channel and she can't do it, and her copyright striking these channels probably wouldn't even be a smart idea. Just in case of a lawsuit, these channels could probably hire a bunch of lawyers and just bog them down so that episode 2 gets delayed and everyone just loses. And we know that the Amazing Digital Circus takes a lot of money to make, so they need to focus on making the episodes instead of spending their money on lawsuits, which will take forever to win. Instead, they address this problem, as well as addressing the problem of fake merchandise in the trailer through Kane, by kind of throwing shade towards those who are selling the bootleg merch by turning Kane into one of the lame plushies that's a popular purchase amongst fans. And then they twisted it and focused their attention on their own official merch and the money they make from that, and that they're spending that money on the creation of the next episodes. But again, if the original content that Glitch posts just disappears in the sea of endless content farm videos, it's much harder to get this message across to reach their target audience, warning them about fake merch and shifting their attention towards the official merch so that they can actually support the show. However, I think that we should be okay just because the content farm channels seem to get maximum 1 to 4 million views when the pilot episode is actually almost about to hit 300 million, so I think we should be good. However, Gooseworks also did say that she doesn't have anything against fan art or fans shipping the characters, but she is annoyed by the fact that these content animation channels are capitalizing off of their show by targeting a young audience with weird thumbnails, and people will click on these videos watching them from beginning to end to see if there's any new information about the show, thinking that maybe it's official, or to just get more content about the characters, even if those animations have no relevance to the actual plot and the character stories and personalities are being completely twisted. And this really shows how these content farm channels don't really care about the show itself or its real plot. They only care about money, because by producing content that is this far off the original intents of the creators only creates hardships for Gooseworks and Glitch, shifting the focus off of the original show and ruining the community. If they were to make videos with Glitch's permission, that would be another thing, because then maybe they could work together, because Glitch knows that they can't really stop the content farms. However, this is not what they do, and they just pump out tons and tons of content trying to get as many views as possible, to the point where they'll even reuse their animations. They will upload the same video 6 different times, because what they do is they have 6 different short animations in one video and then compile them and just upload them all with different thumbnails and titles and switch up the order of what they're showing. As well, Gooseworks has been sharing lots of older concepts about the shows and its characters, such as in the beginning stages, she thought that Pomni was going to be a boy and Jax was a girl, so she shared a concept about them with the switched genders, and that was enough for these content farm channels to create entire animations about the characters in an alternate universe. So ever since, Gooseworks has been been pretty careful about what she shares, which is honestly sad considering that the whole show was her idea, and the fact that she has to think about the consequences of just sharing background information from behind the scenes is really just restricting creators' freedom. Although if she were to share these things, there would be so many more content farm channels making so many more videos, which I guess is kind of a good thing that they're not getting any new free content. And the impact of these channels are honestly scary, and just imagine what's to come after Glitch releases episode 2 with all its different locations and new characters. The content farm channels will blow up even more, and they're not stupid. Sure, they may be lying and stealing, but they're not stupid. They're gonna see that episode 2 is coming out soon, and guess what they see? Dollar signs. The animation channels already have made pretty weird connections between Kaufmo and Pomni, or Jax and Ragatha, where they created animations about them getting married, having a baby, or even more weird stuff, despite Gooseworks' confirmation that she has no intention to include any romance between the characters in the show. I mean, just look at how these channels have insane amounts of videos about Kinger and Queenie, and she wasn't even in the show as a character. We only saw a 2-second shot about her picture crossed out on one of the doors in the dorm hall. We literally saw this girl for 5 frames, and she is all over the content farm channels. So the only way out of this loophole is if everyone would just stop watching these content farm animation videos and stop giving them a reason to continue pushing out these insane amounts of content daily that is lying about the show. However, I kind of doubt that this would ever happen, just because of the super young audience that doesn't really understand what the show is about, and they're just watching because they see colorful characters that they recognize. But if everyone were to stop watching it, maybe kids would then spend their time watching the actual episode, or coming up with theories, or going into the community, different things like that, which actually have to revolve around the show. And that way the creators won't have to gatekeep part of their information that they want to show to the fans, like behind the scenes or new characters or old characters. But I guess this also means that the creators are doing something right. If the show didn't blow up this much, then no one would milk the cow that is the Amazing Digital Circus' franchise. So in some sort of twisted way, I'm not saying this is right, this actually means that the idea of the show is original, and we can see that the fans had such a deep connection to the story and the characters that they so badly want to see more content, which allows for these content farm channels to get their views. The problem's root though is in the mindless content that is being pushed out without any real effort, and by disrespecting the creators by turning characters around 180 degrees in their personalities just so that they can keep the interest of the young kids who don't really yet have the judgment about what content they should consume. And since we have to wait several months until next episode comes out, they can only go to these channels if they want to see new content, even if the content doesn't have any relevance to the actual plot itself. But by putting the characters in NSFW situations, they are really corrupting the fan base here, because that would only create a shift in the way that people see the characters and feel about them, as well as the show itself. And I really hope that the hype around episode 2 will kill out these channels and get everyone's focus on the actual episodes. But let me know down in the comments what you think about these content farm channels. Thanks for watching, subscribe, and click on this video here.